women are distinctly unattractive.
Or at least according to society. Clothes, cosmetics, and plastic surgery, all ploys to boost women's self-image. But more importantly, they're used to uphold a certain beauty standard set for women. This standard, however, very problematic.
Oh, no, that is what
Beauty standards have been a societal concept we followed since Egyptian times. Ancient Egypt was a sex-positive environment focused on slender women with symmetrical faces. Females were meant to feel empowered and individuality was encouraged. In 500 BC, we begin to see a dramatic change and increased focus on the male body. Women were thought to be the disfigured version of men, and yet the goal was still to improve their bodies in order to reflect the man's status. And while changes in women's beauty standards were happening, it wasn't until the 1900s that they consistently and rapidly began to change. In a matter of just 80 years, women's beauty standards bounced around from hourglass to curveless, androgynous to feminine, sickly thin to physically fit, and paper white to bronzed complexion. Now fast forward to 2022.
bittersweet melody when I dance.
What comes to mind when you think of beauty standards today? Maybe makeup? Plastic surgery? Botox? Because nothing says beauty like liposuction and plastic surgery, right? It seems as though women are wired to believe that they're required to look a certain way to fit in or be considered traditionally beautiful. To get more specific, let's start with makeup. In 2022, quote, beautiful makeup consists of a no makeup look with product caked on so heavily to achieve a natural and glowy look. In terms of a woman's body,
it's very Eurocentric and emphasizes lighter skin, sort of white features. It's contradictory, so it simultaneously be very thin but be very curvy. Small waist, flat stomach, big breasts, big butt.
all of which are to be acquired through any means possible, including plastic surgery. And oftentimes, when we think of these beauty standards, they're a reflection or manifestation of what we see elsewhere.
Bittersweet melody when I dance on your fly.
In 2022, social media is perhaps the most instrumental tool in maintaining and creating new beauty standards.
So I think today, when social media is so image-based, it plays a huge role in determining what young women think is an acceptable way to look and way to dress, what kinds of bodies are included, what kinds of bodies are valorized.
And while all social media platforms play a role in this, there are a few that have a bigger impact than others. On Instagram, the trend is to produce authentic lifestyle content, though the true authenticity of what we're seeing is debatable. So often, this authentic content is so heavily edited and manipulated to appear flawless, but had we had access to the raw photos, they'd be unrecognizable in comparison.
Boom. Gone.
There's a vast array of applications such as Photoshop and Facetune that are large manipulators in the social media game. These apps demonstrate literally unrealistic beauty standards.
How does it feel to breathe when you're dead?
And while Instagram certainly plays a huge role in terms of presenting unrealistic and toxic beauty standards, we mustn't forget the newest social media rookie.
Lying to my face, told me she was a friend. Said it in yeah.
I might just steal your bitch. That's on God.
TikTok has an ingenious format which reels the viewer into an infinite wormhole of short videos, with the average user's view time being 52 minutes per day, a number that increases to 90 minutes for children between the ages of 4 to 14. This becomes a problem when these videos consist of trends centered around filters and altering one's physical appearance. And although the app is not explicitly telling us that we should look or act a particular way, we are subconsciously encouraged to do so in order to be featured or trending. Now, it's not all bad, as social media can have the opposite effect of promoting body positivity as well.
Alright, you guys, here's the key to self-confidence. Figure out what makes you feel the prettiest. Once you've done that, act like you're the baddest bitch.
The real problem, however, is that big companies also use social media for their marketing campaigns, especially the beauty industry.
They see a trend, they see what people like, and then they exploit it. Is it this big industry that's driving what people are supposed to like, or is it them tapping into what people already have shown that they like? They accentuate it, they moderate its effects, because when you have big corporations able to spend a lot of money on marketing, this is kind of that, what I would consider that dark end of psychology, right?
And while there's nothing necessarily wrong with advertising like this to adults, It's children and adolescents that are the most active on social media, and therefore the ones that will be impacted the most. And that impact can be catastrophic.
They had to shove a funnel down my throat and feed me liquids because I just wasn't eating anything.
I mean, teen suicide has gone up a lot in the last 10 to 20 years. Basically a 50% increase in females under the age of 17. Social media is definitely a factor. Cyberbullying, which is a lot harder to catch, is a factor.
Even though these marketing campaigns and social media influencers have such a negative impact on girls and eventually women's body image, they don't have much incentive to change their practices. Nobody can tell Victoria's Secret to use more than just size 0 models in their advertising, and neither will the Kardashians stop getting plastic surgery and photoshopping their images. So, how do we change this?
That's a hard question. The Equal Rights Amendment would have made equal rights for people of all sexes a constitutional amendment, but it was never ratified by enough states to go through, partly because there was an active contingent of women who fought against it.
Education, talking about it, we're not going to stop certain companies from marketing a certain way. Maybe giving tax break incentives to companies who meet a certain criteria or threshold for promoting awareness or using models of all different body types and colors and whatnot.
Yeah, the media has a big role to play. What you're seeing on screen is shaped by certain people, so you need people behind the camera who are shaping those images in different ways.
A lot of this has to be directed not just at women, it has to be directed at men as well, and starting when they're at a very young age. It's probably the only time where I ever tell my students that sexism really goes both ways is when we tell a little boy and a little girl how they're supposed to behave.
There needs to be legislative change, which I'm not particularly confident about in this country right now. When I have this baby, I don't have any maternity leave through this university. I don't have any federal maternity leave. Luckily, I live in a state that provides some maternity leave, but it's extremely paltry and it's not what other developed nations have.
There are clearly many ways to address these problems, especially in American society. So I pose this question to the collective. Do you believe that these standards can become less dangerous for women? If so, how? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Society Member Velvet. And remember, question everything.